But it was interesting because when I asked him about it now, I was like, why didn't you just say, if you bring it up again, I'm out. Like, I'm done. Like, don't. And he said, because I couldn't deny that you lit up when you talked about this. He was like, there was something about you that like was transformative in a way that was so magnetic that even though I was very opposed and very uncomfortable with the idea of it, I saw that it was like this holy grail for you.
Welcome to Normalizing Non-Monogamy, the podcast where we interview incredible people from all over the world to hear their personal journeys of self-discovery through the lenses of love, sex, and relationships.
Our mission is to show people that they're not alone and to inspire them to embrace their true selves so that together we can open minds and live authentically without shame.
We believe everyone's story is powerful and beautiful, yet it's important to remember that everyone does life a little bit differently and that the views and opinions expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect our own.
Additionally, we aren't doctors. Please consult a medical professional for anything regarding your health that you might learn about on the show. Enjoy!
Well, welcome to episode 445. We're Finn and Emma, and today we have a wonderful conversation with Courtney. Courtney is a polyamorous mother of three who's been married for over 21 years and has only recently began to explore polyamory and her sexual self after slowly deconstructing her religious upbringing.
Yeah, I feel like we say this every single week, and it's true every single week, but this is such a powerful conversation. The journey that Courtney and her husband have been on together and individually is incredibly healing and super inspiring to hear her talk about. Things were really rough in her marriage, and about 4 years ago, Courtney brought up the idea of opening up, and it really didn't go well. At one point, she even told her husband that she wasn't in love with him anymore, and now, just a few years later, they've opened their relationship. Courtney has a newish long-distance partner, and as you'll hear Courtney say, she and her husband are more in love than they've ever been. We're so grateful to have Courtney on and to have this conversation today.
Courtney is also a therapist turned relationship coach, writer, and speaker, helping people navigate love, sex, and modern relationships with more honesty, freedom, and authenticity. As the in-house sex expert for Pure's UK market and the author of Not Tonight, Honey, and her latest book, Opened, which actually just came out this year, Courtney brings both professional expertise and lived experience to conversations about desire, communication, and redefining relationships outside the mainstream. You can find out more about all of Courtney's work in the show notes in your podcast player or by heading over to our website, normalizingnonmonogamy.com, and clicking on the podcast tab.
And in case you were wondering, Courtney does stick around to answer some fun bonus questions for our premium subscribers as well. If you're not familiar, our premium subscribers get ad-free podcast episodes plus a new 10 to 15-minute bonus episode every single week where our guests answer some fun extra questions and give us an opportunity to get to know them even deeper than we do during the regular interview. And this one gets pretty deep to begin with.
It does.
So definitely stick around. You can sign up on the homepage of our website, again at normalizingnonmonogamy.com for just $4 a month. And if you do it right now, you'll get to hear our bonus episode with Courtney. And you'll also get to go back and listen to all of the bonus episodes that we've released since the beginning of this year. So really, there's no better time to do it than right now.
And with that, it's time to jump right into the interview with Courtney for all of our premium subscribers. And for everyone else, a few quick announcements. First up, we wanted to remind all of you about our community. We lead a community of over 300 people socializing and supporting each other every single day. We host the community on a platform called Mighty Networks, and we have monthly community support Zoom calls, monthly virtual workshops, and in-person events as well, all for less than $10 a month. Our next monthly workshop is coming up May 27th. That's going to be with Michelle, who previously did the Ask Us Anything episodes a few years ago with Finn. And the workshop that Michelle is doing on May 27th is called Building Emotional Resilience and will provide a grounded experiential space to build your emotional toolkit as you navigate non-monogamy. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and if you want to learn more about that workshop and all of the other workshops that we have coming up the rest of this year and all of the workshops that we've done up until this point, you can go over to the workshops tab of our website. Again, you can see all of the workshop facilitators and all of the topics and descriptions. And a quick reminder that when you do join our community, you don't just get this month's workshop, you get access to recordings of all of our past workshops and, again, all of the workshops coming up. So at this point, you get access to almost 20 workshops. So again, no better time to join. I will say one other thing you get when you join our community.
What's that?
You get What's that, Finn? You get access to that premium subscription we were talking about earlier. So just add that to the pile of perks you get for less than $10 a month. So if you're like, man, that premium subscription sounds good, and so do all these workshops, well, for joining our community, you get both.
You can find out more information over on the community tab of our website. Next up,
the last thing we have to tell you about is our favorite way to get tested for STIs, because we're the type of people who have a favorite way.
We do.
And we hope that eventually you do as well. And we might suggest STD check being your favorite way. It is fast, it is easy, and it is discreet. And when you use the links on our website under the resources tab or in the podcast show notes, you get $10 off, which makes a 10-panel test only $129. And you also get to support the podcast financially, which we're super grateful for, because that means we can come back every single week and do this for free. So again, check it out. STD Check is the way that Emma and I have been getting tested for years. We have tons of people in our network, in our friend group, and through this podcast who have done it as well. So we've got it on good authority. That's a pretty decent service.
And again, links are over on the resources tab of our website. And finally, we want to remind you, reach out to us, send us an email over on the Contact Us tab of our website. We would love to hear from you if you have any questions or comments for us. And especially if you would like to be a guest on the podcast, just like Courtney, reach out to us, send us an email, and let us know, and we'll get you scheduled, and you can come on and tell your story.
Absolutely. And just to be clear, you do not have to have written books or be a coach or do any of that. You just have to be you. We would love to have you come on and share your story with us and with the world.
And with that, let's go and talk with Courtney.
Well, welcome to the podcast, Courtney. We're excited to chat today, to get to know you. We met you 15 seconds ago or so. So we're excited to dig in and hear your story today. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
We'd love for you to start by introducing yourself at whatever level you're comfortable with.
Sure. I'm Courtney Boyer. I am a relationship and sexuality expert and author, and I am also polyamorous, mom of 3, and I'm married to a monogamous husband.
That's a lot. I just want to say that's a lot. That's great.
Where do we begin with that?
Right.
Well, where do we begin? Maybe we talk a little bit about when did non-monogamy come into your world for the first time? Actually, you know what? Maybe let's start with, what does it look like today? Like, what is your relational ecosystem look like today? And then we'll go back in time.
Okay, so today, so my husband and I have been married for 21 years. And like I said, he's monogamous. I identify as polyamorous, and I have one other partner who is also polyamorous. He's also married and does not live nearby, sadly.
Okay.
Long distance, unfortunately.
Yeah. And so, okay, so let's go back in time now. When did non-monogamy come into your world and your husband's world?
So I knew about non-monogamy academically in graduate school like 20 years ago, but I was in a very different place in my life and was like, that's not for me ever. And then about a little over 4 years ago, my marriage was really, really struggling. And I was like, you know what a great idea is? To introduce non-monogamy into it. And so that's
what they always say, right? Save your marriage by opening it up. I think that's the standard. Yeah.
100%. Actually, that was what I was going to title my memoir, is Opened: How Non-Monogamy Saved My Marriage. And it really didn't. It transformed it, which I'm really proud of now. But yeah, at the time, that was really the only solution I saw to getting my needs met, and had no idea I was poly, but that was how it got introduced.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And for anyone who didn't catch that, there was some sarcasm in there.
Yeah. Thanks, Emma, for looking up for me. Well, I'm curious, when you say back 20 years ago, when you were like, absolutely not for me, but then 16 years later, bringing it up, like I know there's a lot that happens in there, but I'm curious a little bit about that shift in that journey you went on. So maybe starting back, 20 years ago, what was going on for you? They were like, no way, not for me, never will be for me.
I was really religious. I grew up in the evangelical Christian church. I was like heavily steeped in purity culture. I got married at 22. So for me, heterosexual monogamy inside marriage was like the only option. And I was still very much in my faith. I would say I was starting to become more liberal. Like I didn't see gay people as sinful anymore, 20 years ago, like, whoa, that's growing. And then I started.
Progressive evangelical.
I know. Whoa, we got to tone it down there, Courtney. We're starting to love too many people here. So then over the next, I don't know, I guess 15 years, I really started to deconstruct my faith. And when I wrote my first book, that's when I really started to look at the history of women and sexuality and was really enraged by what I saw and how women have been treated and how our bodies have been regulated. And I think that's really was the final nail for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so then where did non-monogamy, start to be like, wait, what about this?
Yeah. So we moved to Germany 6.5 years ago. And when we moved, we live in like this little cute German village. And I was like, oh, I'm going to join the soccer team. And, because I'm almost 40, why not? And because football culture, soccer culture here is so huge, especially in the smaller villages. And it was so fun to be a part of this team. And we would do a lot of things with the men's team, which was filled with like a bunch of 20-year-old German guys. And they were like starting to pay attention to me in a way that I had never been paid attention. Nothing like overtly sexual, nothing disrespectful, but just like a curiosity, but also like erotically charged. And I was like, oh, this feels really nice. Like this feels really good. And for years in my marriage, I had, so my husband is a doctor, and I joked from the beginning that he's married to medicine and I'm his mistress. But that's really how our marriage was for, 17 years is I was like the dutiful Christian wife and mom, and I just took his breadcrumbs. And so that is how I was, and I was really starved for attention.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it sounds like that really fit the narrative too that you had like coming up in purity culture, that's what your duty is.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that was the catalyst for you to really start to push back with like your rights as a woman, your equality as a woman.
Yeah. Yeah. And to see I had grown up in a world where women were really seen as temptations and distractions. And that was really hard to negotiate or to try to reconcile when I had 2 teenage daughters, coming up myself. I also have a son, but I definitely felt like those feelings coming up of, what's the messaging that I'm giving them, and them owning their bodies and having the right to decide how they want to dress and all those things. And I just was, there was just so many things converging for me during that period of time. And it just, non-monogamy was like this dangly, shiny carrot that felt like liberation in a way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious how you started to explore it for yourself. Like, was it sort of something you started to learn about without sharing necessarily at the beginning? I think this is a place where people often end up is one person is often the leader, the person who, finds it. And we've heard so many different ways that people go about this, but I think one of them is often you research it in private for a long time till you really get secure with yourself. And then from there, it's a who knows, sometimes you'd back up the dump truck and dump it all on your partner. But I'm curious what it looked like for you as sounds like playing soccer with the locals and starting to feel maybe a little bit of something you haven't felt in a long time.
Yeah. I wish that I would have done some research. I mean, I knew it intellectually. I knew what it looked or what it could look like in a few different forms. I wasn't super familiar with polyamory because I found those people really annoying. And so I was like, I don't want to associate with them. They're like weirdos. We get it. It's all about love. Okay. And so it was more of like coming into who I was, and it was the beginning of the journey of coming home to myself. So it was less about non-monogamy and really me stepping into my power. And the more I did that, the more my sexuality felt like it was like trying to break out of me and trying to be this expressive, confident woman in this culture and in this marriage where that wasn't safe to do. So I think that's really where it started. It wasn't like, oh, I have a perfect setup.
Yeah.
No, I did not propose a perfect setup. I just winged it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It has been won.
Yeah.
It has been won. Yeah.
I'm curious too in that sort of just those early days of starting to tease that apart, what that like what that actually looked like
Yeah.
for you to start to break away from the grips of everything you've been taught your whole life.
And also I want to mention too, this is like in the midst of moving across the world, right?
Yeah, this was like a year. It was like right after COVID. So like we moved to Germany. COVID happens 9 months. My husband's gone for 7 months for work. So I'm at home with the kids by myself in a foreign country locked down. And that was when I really realized like, oh, I don't need him. Like, even though I was a strong, independent woman, I had my own business, I was highly educated, that I still was programmed that I needed a man. Like, I pedestaled men for my entire life. And so it was this like awakening around 2020, 2021. And then I asked for the open marriage January of 2022.
Yeah.
Yeah. You had a lot of time, I imagine, to start to unpack these things.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
It was a lot. It felt like forever, but it also felt, it was so scary. I was so scared. And it wasn't, I was scared of what other people would think. I was scared of my kids finding out. There was just so much fear and so much shame.
Yeah. Yeah. And just going through that process so much, it sounds like very alone.
100%.
Well.
Yeah. It was incredibly lonely. I remember my sister told me, because I shared with her and she was like, why don't you go into like Reddit or like follow some TikTok people? And so I was like, I don't even know what Reddit is. Okay, blah, 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 typing it in. And I just remember reading the comments and I was like, nope,
yeah,
can't do it.
That's not a good place to start.
Nope. Because I had no idea, because every place I looked for non-monogamy, they didn't look like me. They were not single, but they were like, not married, childless, tattoos, piercings, living in Berlin or Portland, like 14 partners. And I was like, that I don't resonate with that, and now I get it that there's all these different aspects of the non-monogamy community, but that was my kind of first, like, these are the influencers or the creators. And I'm like, is that what I'm going to turn into? Like, I that's not what I want to do. Like, I don't know what to do. So I just was like, nope, I got to figure this out myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the loudest voices out there that you were seeing, you're like, I don't relate to any of these people. So yeah. So where did you go? What did you do to start finding a path for yourself?
I really didn't go anywhere. I went to the podcast, I turned the academic in me on and went into like, okay, what's the research showing? And so I would send my husband these articles and these podcasts and case studies, all of those, anything academic that would speak to his, logical, scientific mind. YouTube stuff. I don't even remember. It was so much stuff I sent him. And at the same time, then one of our some of our close friends were also opening their marriage, and so they were like my rock through that. So the three of us were kind of figuring it out because they both were non-monogamy, like wanted to explore non-monogamy.
And this was before you had asked your husband.
No, this was right after.
Right after. Okay.
There was a 6-month period where I asked and nothing happened. It was lots of conversations, lots of discussions. And during that time, I opened up to one of my best friends and she was like, oh, my husband and I are also navigating this. And so that was my support.
Yeah.
I'm curious what it was for you that, again, I know we've talked a lot about what was going on for you, but that landed for you that was like, non-monogamy is something that like, I think this might be the thing that could help. And like to bring that up to your husband, I imagine, again, sounds like this purity culture was also part of your relationship. Yeah. Even if it wasn't like explicit, it sounds like functionally that was really part of how you did it. And I'm just, to bring that up, I imagine was not easy.
No, it was not. It was absolutely terrifying. And his reaction was awful. It was really, really bad. But I was so desperate that I just felt like I'm not ready for this marriage to end. I don't want to break my family apart. And this is the only solution that I see. And if I just get him to see how logical this is, it'll be fine. And so I had this like mission that I was like, we're going to be a better version of us if we just get this non-monogamy thing figured out.
Yeah. Which is like, you kind of answered my question, but it occurred to me, like, you know, growing up in purity culture, I imagine you see, like, and also just growing up in the culture you probably did
Or
around,
the US. I
yeah,
mean, Anglo, I
Yeah.
yeah,
guess our culture in the US isn't
yeah.
exactly, open to this idea
Well,
either,
and it's
right?
like you're taught, either break up or cheat even,
Yeah.
but those weren't options in your head.
No, I couldn't sit with the idea of cheating that way. I mean, my husband was the only man I had sex with ever. Like, I and the idea was arousing, but also really scary. And so to put myself in that situation to like, quote, give myself, like that's still kind of the mindset I had to another man without my husband knowing just felt like such a level of betrayal.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that. And I just was like, this is the logical solution. Why can't you see that, dear? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I find it so interesting that for you, it sounds like it was almost like the logic overrode some of the conditioning
Yeah.
Yeah.
a little bit. Like, forget all the purity culture bullshit. I'm sure it wasn't that easy, but
Yeah.
like, it sounds like for you, is like logic came in and was like, I want my marriage, I want my family,
Yeah.
and I'm missing things,
Yeah.
and this is where I can get them. Like the conditioning and the programming seems like it was almost secondary.
Absolutely. And that by that time we had stopped going to church and I think COVID like really killed that for me in terms of identifying as a Christian and being active in the church. It was a good reflection and step away time for me. And then we just never re-entered that community. And so the purity culture principles were really gone for me at that point. So it was kind of this comes out and this comes in.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is, I mean, again, I know it probably wasn't like the snap of a finger, but we've
Oh
talked
no.
to some people where it was, you know, decades of trying to unwind, heal, work through the shame and the trauma. Is that something you've also experienced, or was it not? I don't want to say like not too bad.
No, oh no, it was bad. Yeah. No,
Okay.
it was yeah, it was real hard to I in my book when I talk about the question that I ask throughout the beginning and the first couple years of my journey was what's wrong with me? Like
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
what is wrong with me on so many levels? Like why can't I just be quote normal? Why can't I just be monogamous? Why can't I just be happy with my life? Why can't I, do why can't I be comfortable in my body? Like, why can't I claim my pleasure? Like, that's what I do for a living is I help other people figure out how to align their lives more pleasure filled and figure out what's blocking that. And like, I can't even fucking do that. Like, what is wrong with me? So it was an intense couple of years.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. A lot of like unwinding.
Yeah.
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 When you started exploring it for yourself,
Mhm.
again, I know it sounds like it was a little bit logic driven at the beginning, but
Mhm.
as you started to step into it, did it start to feel like, oh, this is who I am? This is my way of relating and loving?
At first, no. The first few months, it felt like somebody who hadn't eaten in a long time walking into a buffet. And so I just was like, "Oh, that looks good. That looks good. That looks good." And I had I can't emphasize this enough. I had not really gotten much attention,
Hmm.
growing up and from men and sexually. And so now I'm stepping into this world where I'm getting a lot of attention and that felt so good. It felt really addictive, like that dopamine hit of getting on the apps and having these really attractive men, message you about how beautiful and sexy you are and telling you things that I've been wanting to hear from my husband for years. So I would say that was very overwhelming. And instead of like sitting back and like trying to unpack that, or, I didn't have any friends who knew what the hell they were doing because,
Yep.
all my friends are monogamous. Nobody knows. None of my friends know. Maybe, well, like a couple, very, very few people, but they are very monogamous and not interested in this world at all. So they didn't have any advice. And my husband didn't want to talk about it. It was a kind of a don't ask, don't tell for the first 2 months. And so I was just like, okay, well, this is awful and also exhilarating. I don't know what to do with all these feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to just back up a little bit because I want to dig into that more. But those 6 months of research and of conversations, I mean, in one hand, that's a long time, and on the other hand, it's not very long to have that shift. I'm just curious if you could expand a little bit more about how that time went.
Oh gosh, I felt like our marriage just got more and more and more strained. Like it just was at the point where he was like, I'm so tired of you bringing this up. I'm so tired of talking about it. But he wasn't taking steps to like have me get my needs met. It was much more like, okay, Courtney, like here we go again. Like, great, another conversation about this. But it was interesting because when I ask him about it now, I was like, why didn't you just say, if you bring it up again, I'm out. Like, I'm done. Like, don't. And he said, because I couldn't deny that you lit up when you talked about this. He was like, there was something about you that like was transformative in a way that was so magnetic that even though I was very opposed and very uncomfortable with the idea of it, I saw that it was like this holy grail for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it kept him in.
Yeah, it kept him in. And he did say, like, he was like, I use that time to reflect and see, like, do I want to leave this marriage? Like, do I want to end this? And he said that he needed that 6 months to really reflect and was like, no, like, I want to figure this out. Well, let's try this.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, the need, so you've mentioned a few times, like they're just the needs that you weren't getting met. And I know you've sort of kind of captured it, but it was just sort of, like you said, you were the mistress to a career. You weren't really feeling that desire, the interest, the attention, the things that you were needing to feel special and loved. And then you start getting those from people on, different dating apps. And
once you start opening up,
it's intoxicating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. And especially when you don't really, I mean, I hadn't experienced like ghosting. I hadn't experienced catfishing. I'm just like, I will never forget. I matched with this really great guy like right away. And I remember thinking like, who said online dating was hard? Like, this is so easy. Oh, that was so cute of me. Yeah.
Did that one not pan out?
I mean, yeah. So it did briefly, and then he just like slowly faded out. Like it just, I didn't understand. Like, what do you mean? You said that you wanted this, and that's what we're doing, and you just are like, now we don't talk anymore. I don't understand what happened, and yeah. So it was a lot to learn.
Yeah, all the different ways people like show up or don't show up in these dynamics where I imagine like confusing, right? To go from one relationship where you're like, I'm not feeling all these things to, oh my God, it's so exciting and exhilarating.
Yeah.
But then what the hell, where'd you go? Like quiet quitting on me. And like, I like traded in one thing that didn't feel good to another.
Yes. Yeah. So much of that. And also this idea of like I just wanted to like do all the dating, and I just wanted to like, because I thought that's what you did, I didn't have a model for what a healthy, immersion into non-monogamy could be. I was like, balls to the wall, let's do this shit, which was I don't recommend that, because what it did was it prevented me from sitting with my own feelings and allowed me to escape by, I'm just going to go get coffee with this guy. I'm going to go make out with this guy. I'm going to go do, whatever. And because that's a lot more fun than doing the inner work.
Yeah. But I'm curious too, like looking back at that time, and I know maybe you're like, I don't necessarily recommend that, but did you, like, it sounds like you did get something out of that. Like you learned a lot.
Yes. I learned so much. I learned how low my standards were, how little I valued myself. I'm not kidding. That's true.
But in that you learn, I mean, that's an important thing to learn, right? Because then it's time to be like, well, I'm not good with that. Like, I don't want to be in those situations.
Yeah.
How do I take care of me better? And
Yeah.
I'm curious what were some of the other things you learned through this time and what you did with those?
Gosh. Well, I wrote a book about it. I learned so much. I learned that a lot of men, because I've only dated men, unfortunately. Ugh, wish I was into women sexually, but sadly I'm not. So I learned that a lot of men think they know what they want, but they don't necessarily. I learned that people who think that they're okay with non-monogamy or polyamory, unless there is proof that they are, it is unlikely that they actually are, and that they are much more likely to bend to the pressures of their family and their friends and culture, because I can't even tell you how many men I've dated that were like, nobody can know we're dating. Like, nobody can know that you're my girlfriend. Like, nobody. And at first I was like, that's fine. Like, I don't care. I just, whatever. I'm just happy that somebody wants to, like, take care of me or whatever, be my boyfriend. And I realized that, it's because you aren't okay really with, non-monogamy, and I'm just kind of like a good time, even though I really I said I want an emotion, I want a connection. Like, I don't want to do the casual thing that doesn't feel good for me. And a lot of guys would just say whatever to get in my pants or try to get into my pants. And I didn't realize that in the beginning. So, yeah. Gosh, what else did I so many things. I think the biggest one is that I thought that should be grateful for the opportunity to just like be out of my cage. And so me wanting like a real emotional and intellectual and sexual connection was asking for too much. So I tried to shrink myself a lot. Like, well, you're kind of being greedy that you want a husband that's this way and a boyfriend that's this way. Like, just take what you can get, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And those first couple months, you were in a don't ask, don't tell dynamic. How did that go and feel?
Well, and also I'm curious how you got there. How did you and your husband shift from, I don't even want to talk about this, to, okay, let's try it?
Yeah. So the universe sent a man my way. So this was June, beginning of June. So 6 months after the initial conversation. And I said, or no, we were on a train, and we were just like, there was this like magnetic connection that we had, and we ended up exchanging information. And then a few weeks later, I was in a town kind of near him working on my first book. And then over those couple of weeks with my husband, I was like, hey, I really want to explore this, and then he was just like, okay, like, do what you need to do. I don't want to know about it. And then I texted the guy immediately and said, hey, come take me out for dinner. And he did. So that's how that happened.
Yeah. And I'm curious, how did it's back to sort of Emma's question, like how did don't ask, don't tell work for you? And I will say too, we've talked to a lot of people where this is where they start, right? Sometimes it's easier to say, I just can't know. I don't want to know, but like, go ahead.
Yeah.
How was it for you?
Oh, it was awful. I hated it. I'm an external processor. It made me feel like I was doing something wrong. I felt like I was doing it behind his back, and that it was something I should be ashamed about or feel guilty about, that I needed this or I wanted this, and like, what's wrong with me? And I just was like, I don't like this at all. I don't like this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so, but you were willing to do it for 2 months.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what ended up happening. I saw the guy the one time, and then like, he just, again, just faded, And then a couple weeks later, I joined Field, and I matched with the guy that also faded. That I was like, oh my gosh, online dating's so easy, like, type of thing. But in the meantime, I went back to the US with my kids to like visit family. So it was 2 months of like don't ask, don't tell, but there was really only one date that I had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how did it start to shift from there? How did you kind of break out of the don't ask, don't tell?
Yeah. So when I was back in Oregon, I did a psychedelic mushroom trip.
As you do in Oregon.
Yeah.
Which is what you do. You're like, what should I do today. That's what I'm going to do.
It's listed on the Chamber of Commerce website, right? There's top 10 things to do when in Oregon.
That's right. Check, check, check. And so I decided, I didn't decide. I realized then that I was actually polyamorous and I wasn't in love with my husband. So those were two big bombs that came out of that. And so then when my husband came out to join us in the family vacation, I went for a walk and told them this is what I discovered about myself. And I can't do the don't ask, don't tell thing. And I understand if you don't want to be with me anymore. I want to try, I want to love you and I want to fall back in love with you right now. But I have a lot of resentment and a lot of anger. And I'm also, this other part of me also exists. So let's figure it out.
Yeah, that's a hell of a walk.
I know. Yeah, it was a lot.
So also on the list of things to do in Oregon is have radical shifts in your perspective on life.
Blow up your marriage.
Yeah.
Blow up your marriage in Oregon.
I imagine you're probably staying with other people during this time as well.
With my mom and sister, yeah.
Yes, easy to do those conversations and yeah, wow. Well, I maybe just would love to ask a question that I think maybe people had in that is, well, if you're not in, I'm speaking from the comment section of every YouTube video. Well, if you don't love your husband, why would you stay together? Right. And I know this is a very complicated question, so I'm not actually asking it so
it's okay.
frivolously.
No worries. I think because love to me is a choice, and it's easier to make that choice when you have the neurochemicals that are flowing through your body and making it easy.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, marriage was more than just being in love with somebody. It was respecting them, wanting to build a future with them. He was my co-parent, or he is my co-parent. At the time I was thinking, oh, he's my business partner and, in investments we have, he's my best friend. He's a lot of things. And so it wasn't just oh, you're not my romantic. I don't desire you as a romantic partner right now. In fact, I want to punch you in the face because I'm really frustrated with how you've treated me for a long time. But that wasn't enough for me to be I guess we'll just end this. Again, that never crossed my mind. I proposed it to him and said, if you want to walk away, I totally understand, but I wasn't ready to end the marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. And I'm so grateful that you share that because I think this is, again, I was just reading, another cesspool on the internet besides Reddit. I was scrolling social media and somebody was talking about, they were posting comments from YouTube videos or something like that. And yeah, people were just what's the point in being together if you're not, one man, one woman, all of these things. And so to hear you say our relationship, my life, is romantic, being romantically connected with somebody. That's one of the many, many facets that you build your relationship on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you and him do from this point?
I imagine that was a blow up conversation.
Yeah, it was really hard to say the least, but he was okay, I'm going to do a better job. We're going to figure this out. And I had been talking with this German guy who I had matched with and was oh my gosh, he's so great. Dating's so easy. And we had been talking for 3 weeks. We hadn't met yet, but we had planned when I get back, we're going to go on a date and connect. And I was explaining to my husband, I'm this is what's going to happen. And I need you to be okay with that. And he's yep, I'm going to be supportive. It's going to be fine. It was not fine. It was not fine after we landed. You go back into what and it triggered, me being polyamorous, triggered all these feelings of inadequacy and abandonment and a lot of it. And so thankfully, I had a really great network of colleagues and was able to get us to find a couples therapist. And so we got into couples therapy finally because I'd been begging him for, almost 2 decades to go. And he's I don't have time. I'm too busy. I don't have time. And now when our marriage is imploding, he's yeah, I can make time for it. So, yep. Yeah. So that's what we did is I still was on the apps. I was still actively dating and we were trying to, rebuild our marriage, I guess. I wouldn't say fix it, just completely rebuild it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not an easy thing to do.
Oh, no. I was super depressed, super anxious. I was not eating. I wasn't sleeping. And then I had to pretend like everything was fine for my clients, for my kids, because nobody really knew. I mean, again, a few more people knew because we're slowly but maybe 10 people knew. And most of them were back in the US, not here in Germany to support us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
I know, I'm stressed for me too.
Right. Well, and I keep coming back to this place you're in where, again, I hear people being like, well, if it's that hard, why? Right.
Mm-hmm.
But what you explained, right? What's the other side of that is I'm going to walk away, blow up my life, blow up my marriage, blow up my family, my business. Like you and your husband weren't just, go to work, come home and sit at the white picket fence and drink a beer at the end of the night. Like your whole life was intertwined to your business, everything. So it wasn't like so much is riding on this.
Yes, absolutely. And I think there was also some pride for me as well, because I'm a relationship expert and I've worked with couples for, almost 2 decades. And I was like, I can't be divorced. Like, who's going to trust a divorced relationship person? Like that's just preposterous. So there was some of that. I think I would say it was a very small, but I just really believed. I mean, you talk about faith, that was what my faith was in. It was in him and I and our ability to figure this out and create something so much better. I just truly believed in the core of me that we were going to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad you said that too, because something you said a moment ago in this was I wanted to fall back in love. I want
there's a stubbornness there, that's keeping you going, right?
And a desire, right?
And a desire,
I think
too.
a desire to have the relationship that maybe you always wanted, right? I want to be in love with this person. I want them to be in love. I want there to be desire and passion.
Yeah.
And there can be other people.
Yeah.
But I didn't catch anywhere in there. You're like, I'm okay if we just put our relationship in a box and put it on the shelf. Like it sounded like you were truly like, let's rebuild this from the ground up.
Yeah.
And that's way harder than just saying all right, we've just segmented it out and here's what it is.
Yeah. It was hard.
And I use that term stubborn as lovingly too.
Oh, no.
We also, I am so stubborn.
For sure.
So it takes some of that tenacity in some ways to keep doing that.
Yeah, for sure.
And pushing into that desire of I really believe this is possible. It's really hard, but I'm going to see it through. And at the end of the day, you might be proven wrong, but you had a confidence that you were at least going to give it everything you had.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so how does it go so you land back in Germany? You didn't quite get the support you were hoping for, but
you went to couples therapy.
Yeah. How did you start moving forward, exploring this?
Yeah. So we met with our therapist and he was like, yeah, this is going to be tough, which I appreciated. I wasn't like, oh, this is easy. And I kept thinking oh, if Nate just gets on board, that's my husband's name, Nate, everything will be fine. Can't you just get here? And I didn't realize how much healing, this was the catalyst that he needed to deal with his unresolved childhood issues and some of his PTSD from being in the military. And had we never looked into non-monogamy, he wouldn't have ever faced that. And I can't even express how much of a different person he is now. It is incredible. Even our kids are like, man, Dad's more present. He's more patient. It took us, we had to do so much inner work on ourselves. I will say that I was so angry still and so resentful. And I saw non-monogamy as an escape for probably 6 to 9 to 12 months of that first year, because I felt like it was so unfair that I had been begging for years and years and years for him to be the man that he was starting to become. And now he wanted to be more affectionate. And now he wanted to be more, now he's starting to meet my needs. And I felt like, really? Now you want to do that? And you're not going to, you get it all. You got to do whatever you wanted for 17 years. And I stood by your side. And now I finally get what I want. but so do you in a way. I mean, obviously he didn't really want me out dating other guys, but yeah. So I did not deal with that. I decided to just keep dating and escape my life and just like not really work on the underlying issues for me.
Until I imagine maybe at some point you were kind of forced to.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. 100%. Yep.
Well, but I think that is some of the path that we have to go through, right? Like you kind of said, like your husband probably would have never faced this stuff had you not gone down this path.
Yeah.
And I would say similarly, I'm guessing you probably wouldn't have faced the things you had to face had you not escaped for a little while sometimes we need to check out and just be like, I've just got to do it this way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so what did that look like for you starting to like, what were the pieces that you had to heal for you that kind of came after this period of escapism?
Yeah, a couple of things that stood out are my relationship with myself and seeing myself as somebody who needed to prove that they were lovable. So it was very much programmed in me that you have a purpose, be purposeful, be productive. And if you're not being productive, then you're not useful. And so if I'm not doing things to be lovable and show that I'm lovable, then I'm not inherently lovable. And so I had to really look at that aspect. I also really struggled with the concept of feeling like I wasn't enough. And then I was also too much. Mm-hmm. And so I like my emotions and my desires and that always felt like too much. And so then I tried to, I'm going to be more palatable. I'm going to be more likable. I'll do these things. But then at the same time, then I'm not enough in these aspects. So I really had to look at my relationship with my body. Like, I'm not thin enough. I'm not young enough looking. I'm not, pretty enough or whatever. And funny enough, I just love the lessons that the universe sends us. So I was really struggling with this concept of who is going to want me? I'm 40, mom of 3, middle-aged, married woman. Who's going to want to date me? And I was shocked by the number of younger guys that were sliding into my inbox and were like, hey, mama, hey. And I was like, is this a glitch? Is there something wrong with the matrix that I had no idea? I mean, sure, I was familiar with the MILF porn, whatever movement, if you will.
Movement.
But these guys were legitimately, and they were gorgeous, right? They were ridiculously good looking and they loved my wrinkles. They loved my cellulite. They liked my curvy body. They loved all of me. And I just was like, wait, what? I thought you only liked 25-year-old women with perky breasts that have never breastfed 3 children like I did. And they were like, no, this, all of this. And that is truly what began to help me heal my relationship with my body.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Being just completely appreciated and cared for exactly who you are and what your body is.
Well, and it helped me to see too that I had been lied to.
Yeah.
That this society is saying, no, these are the only women that are valuable. It's women that look like this, and this is how old they are. And now I'm getting actual real life feedback from men that I value because I find them attractive or successful or whatever, who are saying, oh, no, I don't want women my age. I don't want younger women. I want you. I want women in their 40s. I want and I just was like, oh my gosh, what else have I been lied to about what is attractive, what's pleasurable, what's desirable? That really blew the doors open for me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I keep saying everything you say, I'm like, gosh, I love you said that. But this is another one because I just, one of the things I feel like I've heard growing up so much is well, we should find that in ourselves, right? You shouldn't need outside reinforcement to tell you you're beautiful. And you just have to love your body, love yourself. And I'm not going to,
easier said than done.
And I'm not going to say, I'm not going to say that we don't need to get there.
Yeah.
I think
or
we
aspire
do.
for that.
Yeah.
But I think there is what you're talking about too is so important is to say, well, I mean, it's so much easier to feel like I am an attractive, desirable person if I've felt desired and attractive to people where I'm not having to start from scratch and be like, well, no one's ever talked to me. No one's ever looked at me. People make fun of me. But no, I'm strong enough to know that that's bullshit. But like, come on now, right? If you can step out into the world and be like, oh, a whole bunch of people didn't just tell me this was a lie.
Yeah.
They're showing me every single day.
Exactly.
In droves.
Right.
That this is bullshit and this was a lie. We still have to do the work to believe that.
Agreed. Yep.
Because it's not like that happens 2 times and you're like, oh, well, never mind. I guess I just made that whole thing up. Like it takes, So I don't know. This is a thing that I've been tangling with myself for so long. Is this idea that like, we should get there on our own. I'm like, I don't know. I think that's a load of bullshit.
Yeah. I think in an ideal world, but you're also like, I'll speak for myself. I was like, I had 40 years worth of files.
Yep.
Right. Of evidence that is showing me that, no, this is what a man wants. This is what a man finds attractive. You do not compute into this. That's not you, Courtney. So for me to just decide to believe that, like my brain didn't have any evidence to support that. And so it's hard when, like what you're saying is, yes, we would love for that to just be that inherent thing. But if you're combating like really deep programming, and then you don't have anything to like soundly counter it, your brain's going to be like, fuck right off. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I will be on, my brain still tells me to fuck off even if I have reinforcement, right? Like we start to get it and it's like, nah, don't believe that. Like, so to do it, it's just like cold, I feel like cold turkey, right? You're like, oh yeah, I'll just raw dog this self-confidence thing. I don't know.
That's fantastic. I love that.
Oh boy. So how did, I guess, like the rebuilding process go? Obviously it wasn't easy. You were escaping into non-monogamy in that way, but things did start to turn.
Yeah, I would say the evidence collection. So we kind of go back to that. My husband was, at first, it was so hard for him. And then he would see like, oh, she leaves. Like I had a relationship probably shortly after the mushroom trip, entered into a relationship. And so I'd go see my boyfriend and then I'd come home. And then a few weeks later, I'd go see my boyfriend and then come home. And so my husband started to see like, oh, she doesn't want to replace me. Like this is who she is. And so he started to be like, oh, okay, so she is this is her brain and heart have a capacity to love and to give love more than most people. And then she's doing these actions that's showing me, oh, she doesn't actually want to replace me. So she's not trying to abandon me. And that was working. But then, like I'd have a relationship would end or dating would go bad, like poorly. I wouldn't have, like I'd go through months where I wouldn't have a date. And so that felt suffocating for me because I felt very monogamous. And again, most people in my life didn't know about it. I wasn't out publicly to my clients or on Instagram or whatever. And so I still felt this immense amount of shame and frustration and like, what's wrong with me? Why don't men want to date me? Like, why can't I get a guy to like call me, like text me back? Or why do they keep ghosting me? And then that would put a strain on my marriage. And, and then just normal everyday life of being married with 3 kids and all the things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so when did that start to shift then?
Let's see. Probably 2 years. It probably took about 2 years. We had a really big blow up. Let me back up a little bit. There was, I kept finding like, God, I'd be really into this guy and we'd connect and things would go well. And then they'd start to get feelings and then they'd end it. Even though they agreed like, yep, no, I get it. You're married. I get you have, kids and that you're not going to leave them. That's fine. I'm cool with you being poly, but I'm monogamous. And then feelings would develop and it would end. And then that would like devastate me. Not devastate, but that would hurt. And I'd be like, I don't understand. Like they knew what they were getting into. Why does this keep happening? I mean, it happened a lot of times. And then I met an American who lives a couple hours away and we had a really, really great connection. He had been poly previously, got divorced and started like, okay, well, maybe I'll enter the lifestyle again or whatever. And he again was like, this was a mistake. I shouldn't have done this. I really want a monogamous partner. And my kids heard me arguing with, or my oldest heard my husband and I arguing, and then asked if I was having an affair. And so then that added a whole other element of, oh, now, it's been a year. Like, we've been lying to the kids about this. And he wanted to tell them. I didn't. I was so scared that they were going to think I was a monster. And like, what's wrong with you? It was just all that shame. I thought they were going to reflect the shame back to me.
Yeah. How did it go then, talking to your kids about it?
I think that's when my healing journey really started. Because my oldest, we took her for a walk and explained, because they grew up in a very sex positive household when your mom's a trained sex therapist. So for them, they were understood the concept of, being gay or non-binary or being different than the heterosexual monogamous culture. Or sorry, not monogamous. We never really talked about non-monogamy or monogamy in our house because we didn't know anybody who was non-monogamous, so it wasn't relevant. And it's not like you see it on TV, or if you do, it's probably TV your kids shouldn't be watching. So, which is a whole other topic. But so we explain, like some people are capable of loving more than one person romantically, and that's how I'm wired. And her questions were so good. They were ethically based. Do the men that you know, do their wives know that you guys are dating? How does dad feel about it? It was good. I cried the whole time. And then I asked her what she thought about her brother and sister, knowing. And she said, I think you should tell them, because my oldest two, they both were having some anxiety and some panic attacks because they thought I was having an affair. And so then I went back and I told my other daughter and son, and they held my hand the whole time. And they said, we could never not love you. Like, we love you. You're amazing. And we will, as long as dad's okay and everybody's on board with this, like, we support you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were they teenagers at this time?
14, 12, and 10.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What a powerful thing to go through with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like when I saw that they could see me through this like unconditional love lens, it forced me to like, why can't I see myself that way? Like, why can't I accept that this is who I am? And that's what really led me to wanting to accept who I was and starting to do that, which my husband had a hard time with even. I think one of the things that came out later was he was afraid of me getting too big professionally and in any other sphere, because he was deep down, he was afraid that I was going to leave him and realize that I didn't need him. And so he admitted that I kept you small in our marriage. Like, I would make it difficult for you so that like you couldn't do. And again, he's like, I didn't intentionally do it, but right. Him just taking ownership of that would really, that was like the next phase of us healing, because he would say, I'm supportive of you, but then he'd like pout or like withdraw when I was like, well, I'm going to go on a date, or I'm going to go to my boyfriend's house, or, whatever. Yeah. And I would get punished in a way because he was not okay with me doing these things.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. It's not like he had the How to Keep Courtney Small binder that he was like, let me, page 27 of the plan. Yeah. I want to say too, I find it really amazing to just for anybody who hasn't really caught the full timeline here. I mean, this is beginning of 2026. You were really kind of started fully opening only about maybe 4 years ago.
Yeah. It's only been about 4 years.
And to hear that your kids are even seeing in your husband, like, wow, big shifts in how he should, like, I was actually surprised to hear that, like, how fast the shifts happened. Like, that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, like, I have been in like the self-help, like, world of, I've got, I'm very in the mental health field. And so I had the tools, I just was like, I'm going to have to actually apply this now. But yeah, I think for me, I had already spent, 40 years living one way and was like, I don't want to. Well, here's another thing that I think helped accelerate it that most people probably don't have. So my husband, he's a pulmonary critical care doctor. So he deals with the lungs and ICU. And he started to see a lot of people dying young, like 27, like just random things. Or I'll never forget, he had a patient come in who was so excited. He was like, we're retiring, we're going to travel. And my husband had to tell him that he had lung cancer and he had 6 months to live. And I think my husband started to see that like, oh, you can play life by the rules and still like, you just don't know. You do like,
yeah.
So drink the beer, smoke the cigarette. Okay. He's not telling people to smoke cigarettes as a lung doctor, but like, if it's, fall in love, like do the things, obviously do it with integrity and all that. But that was definitely a shift for him when he was like, I don't want to like hold my wife back from loving somebody else, like why?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's something we've heard too. We've got some friends who work as like hospice nurses or end of life care.
Yes.
And like the vigor with which they live life is just like, like, cause you see it every day. You're like, yeah, you think you have time that you maybe you do.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, well, you don't know that. It's not guaranteed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious for you, Courtney, where you're at today. You've learned a whole lot. And I'm curious if you've kind of figured out what for you, at least right now, is like your sweet spot, your equilibrium with exploring this in a way that
at least for right
now, right? that
not setting it in stone.
Yeah.
Just
sign here, Courtney, for the rest of your life.
Right.
Yeah. Gosh, I would, it was funny because before my book came out last month, I was, my husband, he is so supportive now. He's like, you are better when you have another partner. You like, he would be encouraging me to date. He would be like, go do the things. He doesn't want to know what I do sexually with other men, but he's very much like, yeah, like go on a date, like go get coffee with the guy or like fly to London and meet this guy, whatever. And I was much more like, I'm going to take it slower, move it, and considered like, maybe I'll just do like a relationship anarchy thing. Maybe I'll like have a partner here and a partner here and, whatever. And then I met my other partner randomly in January, not on an app, just a mutual friend, a non-monogamy social event.
Of this year, like
this year.
Recently.
Yeah,
okay,
just
3 months
January.
ago. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And it was just like, oh, wow, that was easy. Okay, well, sure. I guess we want the same thing. Okay, well, that made it. Okay, I guess we're together now. It wasn't like, it was kind of pretty instant like that. But so I think that feels good for me. Like he's got 3 kids. I've got 3 kids. He and I are both like, we both own our own businesses. Our goal is to try to see each other once a month. He's in England. I'm in Germany. And that feels good. Like I can live my life fully. I am able to like go see him or he'll come see me. My husband's Nate is super on board with him. He actually met him last weekend, which was a huge deal because he had never met anybody I dated before. And that was like, oh my gosh.
Wow.
So things feel good for me right now in terms of we've agreed to be romantically exclusive. So we're not interested in dating. I'm not open for I'm polysaturated. I'll use a fun term. So right now, this stage of life with 3 teenagers feels good for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm curious so your husband isn't interested in exploring non-monogamy?
No. So he's in the military. And in the military, fun fact, you cannot have sex with someone who is not your spouse.
Yep. Even if it's ethical, consensual.
Yep. Even if it's consensual, which is so stupid. And as a rule follower, he abides by this. So I think maybe if whenever he retires in a few years, he may be open to it. But right now he is super satisfied with his life. He is like, we worked so hard to get back to a place of love. Like we're probably the most in love we've been since like, I don't know, newlyweds maybe. And we just, so I would be a great wing woman for him if he wants to explore that when he feels ready, but he 100% has my blessing to do that. And, but for now,
You're stealing my questions. That was my next question. Would you be all right with him if he did?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay, here's the thing. And this is going to, if you're outside of non-monogamy, people are probably going to think this sounds weird, but like, he is an amazing man. He is funny and smart and kind and thoughtful, a great kisser, a great love. Like, there are so many amazing things about him. I would love another woman to have an experience where she gets to like have a connection with a man like him, whether that's one night or whether that's for months and years. Like, he's incredible, and I trust him to make good choices, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, and you also in there sort of answered my last question that I was going to ask was, did you fall back in love?
Yeah, we did. I think we became better, more healed versions of ourselves, and like fell in love on a whole different plane. Like being able to really like trust your spouse to be like, I am so terrified that you could leave me, that you are putting yourself in the fire and still choosing to come back. Like, our marriage is one out of choice and not obligation. And that, I think, like, puts you at like Super Mario level brothers,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's, I don't even know if I have words. It's great. It's like the journey you've been on, that, and as Finn said, 4 years is not that long, and it's a long time. Like, it's both. It's just
right.
When you're walking through the mud, it's a long time.
4 years is a long time to crawl through barbed wire.
Yeah, 100%. Yep.
Yeah. But to rebuild and reshape and do a lot of healing work yourselves individually and together, it's not that long. So I'm really excited to even talk to you again sometime and see where things have come at that point. I'd also love for you, you've mentioned your book a couple of times and the work you do. I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that and where people can find it too.
Sure. So I have Opened is my second book. Got like a little birdcage on it. And that is on Audible, Kindle, Amazon, wherever.
All the things.
All the places. You can find me at Courtney Boyer Coaching on my website, Instagram, TikTok. And then my husband came up with this idea, a year and a half ago. And he was like, what if we started a YouTube channel? And I was like, first of all, you don't really do social media, so I didn't even know why you would suggest this. But he was like, I want other people to know that they don't have to end their marriage just because one person realizes they're non-monogamous. And so we launched the Mono-Poly Couple YouTube channel, and we also have a Mono-Poly Couple Instagram, and we just share about what it's like to have a mixed relationship style marriage.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. And I love too, like the mission behind that is again, one, we try to shout from the mountaintops, and when there's infidelity, when there's any of these things come in where the standard operating procedure is dump them and run, to say, but what if we rebuilt this? What if we tore it down to the studs and rebuilt something different, better, and better for us?
Yeah.
I love it. So
and congratulations on the book coming out too. I know it just did this year, and I'm excited for people to read it.
Yeah, and
thank you.
We'll make sure links are in the show notes to all of your work.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And you have agreed to stick around for some bonus questions. So those will be coming just in a minute for any premium subscribers. But before we do, is there anything you want to throw out into the world before we let you go?
Oh, I would say that for any of you who are wondering, like, is there something wrong with me? Like, no. We are just programmed and conditioned to believe that if we don't fit inside the very small box that society offers us, that there's something wrong with us. And I truly believe that our desires are our desires are the doorway to our destiny. And when we tune into those, like, that's when we open up a whole new universe.
Easy as that.
Yeah, exactly.
beautiful.
Yes. Thank you so much, Courtney,
guys so
for
much.
sharing and coming on today. And again, for any premium subscribers, we'll jump over to the bonus questions. And for anyone else, we'll end here.
See you next week.
Yes.
Bye.
And we're back. Thank you so much, Courtney, for reaching out and coming on our show. It was lovely to talk with you, and we're excited to send people your way as well.
Yeah, thank you from my side. Again, as we said throughout this conversation, absolutely incredible. So grateful you came on, and thank you for doing the work you do. Like Emma said, links are in the show notes to the books and the YouTubes and all of the different ways you can get in touch with Courtney, so please go check that out.
And we wanted to remind all of you about one upcoming date, and that is May 27th, 2026. That's our next monthly community workshop. It's with me, Shay, called Building Emotional Resilience. More information can be found over on the community tab of our website, and you can join our community for just a couple bucks a month and come check out the workshop.
And next week, I was thinking maybe next week, Emma, we should do another interview.
Interview.
What do you think?
Yes.
The one we've got in store for all of you is with Reid Mihalko. That name may ring a bell. If you head over to Reid About Sex, that's REID About Sex, you can learn a little bit more about Reid. But next week, we've got Reid on to share his personal story and also to tell some absolutely crazy, hilarious stories for our bonus content. So again, if you were thinking, I'm really on the fence about that bonus stuff, get off the fence, get over there, sign up, and you've got some let's just say some stories. There are some stories next week, and you don't want to miss them.
I think that's everything for the day today, though.
I believe so.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening.